Among the most exciting reasons to take your Lightroom photos over to Photoshop is to take advantage of Photoshop's unparalleled creative capabilities. Everything from layer styles to 3D effects to clipping masks to warping and so much more. Filters are just one example of the scores of creative features that you can apply to your photos in Photoshop. In this video, I'll walk you through passing a photo from Lightroom to Photoshop to apply the powerful Liquify filter. It's just one example of how Photoshop's filters can help you take your photos to the next level. Here I have a JPEG of a bird to which I've already applied some edits, but there are still some changes that I'd like to make, and for those I'm going to use the Liquify filter in Photoshop. So I'll right-click and I'll choose Edit in Adobe Photoshop. I'll choose Edit a Copy with Lightroom Adjustments and click Edit. That opens the photo for editing in Photoshop. Here in Photoshop, I'll go up to the Filter menu, and I'll choose Liquify. That opens the large Liquify dialog. Over on the left are a series of tools specific to the Liquify filter. I mentioned that I'd like to try to widen the bird's eye, so I'm going to go for this tool, the Bloat tool. I'll move into the image, and I want my brush tip to be a little bit bigger than the bird's eye. If it isn't, you can resize your brush using the size slider over here, or you can use Photoshop's keyboard shortcuts for changing the size of a brush tip, pressing the right bracket key to enlarge a brush tip or the left bracket key to make a brush tip smaller. Now, to make the bird's eye a little bit wider, I'm going to click and hold for a second, and that puffs up the bird's eye. Let me do that again so you can see it. I'll click and hold, and the bird's eye puffs out. Now, I think that's too much, so I'm going to use another one of the Liquify tools, the Pucker tool, which has the opposite effect. I'll select the Pucker tool, I'll move into the image, and I'll click and hold for a second, and the bird's eye looks just about right now. Let's take a look at another tool, the Forward Warp tool. I'm going to use this tool to push in this bump on the bird's head, just pushing that bit of content in. That looks a lot better. I'll go around the back of the bird and I'll do the same thing back here. Now this time I need a smaller brush tip, so I'll press the left bracket key a couple of times, and then I'll just push in. Now I'll click OK to close this dialog box, and I'll save this photo with my changes so it appears in Lightroom. I'll go to the File menu, I'll choose Save, and as we've seen throughout this series, the file format is now TIFF, and Edit has been appended to the file name. Let's go back to Lightroom to see the photo. In the film strip here in Lightroom's Develop module, you can see that I now have two copies of the photo. So again, there's the corrected version, and there's the original. Now, as I said, filters are just one example of the scores of creative features that you can apply to your photos in Photoshop. There are so many more creative possibilities available to you when you work with both Lightroom and Photoshop as a team. And Adobe's exciting creative mobile apps, Adobe Fix, Adobe Mix, and of course, Lightroom Mobile, expand those possibilities even further.